Welcome back to a very special episode of Be in Demand. And if you're new around here, this isn't my typical episode, but this is going to be a reflective episode. I am recording this on the Lunar New Year. So I did record this last week. But the interesting thing about February having the Lunar New Year is that it's also my birthday month. And so not only is the lunar calendar changing, but also I'm going to be a year older this month. And I did something a little different. I asked AI to actually give me 30 reflective questions that I could be thinking about, and I journaled on some of them and meditated on others, and I'm not even completely done all of these questions yet because they will go, I think, just a few days into March. So let's just talk about what this year is about. As you've probably seen all over social media, this is the year of the horse. And we are ending the year of the snake. And with the snake, like we're saying goodbye to something because the snake is known for shedding. What was it that I shedded? This was something that I have been thinking about. What do I need to release and leave behind in this year as we enter into this year of the horse? But as I thought about horses, I was thinking a galloping horse reminds me of sprinting uphill, finishing the race. I've done a number of half marathons and I like half marathons over like a 5K. For some reason, I like the longer races, but I've never done a marathon yet. And who knows, maybe there is a marathon still in my future. But a galloping horse reminds me of you see that finish line and you sprint. At least this is what I've done. Racing to the end. I mean, you're so focused. You're not really, in this case, I'm speaking for myself. I'm not really looking at all the other runners and the spectators and everything that's going on. I am so focused on that finish line, that sign, getting to it as quickly as possible. So I'm focused. There's this burst of energy, and I'm also fully present. So I really like these three descriptors of what I believe like a galloping horse is doing. They are fully present in what they are doing, and they've got a destination, and they want to get there as quickly as possible. And then we compare this to the snake, which is shedding, getting rid of something. And somebody was sharing this with me. Like a snake actually scratches its head up against like a rock to make a tear. And then it is able to slither out of its skin because it no longer fits. It's not like us humans where we grow and we don't have to get rid of a layer of skin, although we do exfoliate from time to time. But that's what a snake is doing. So it really made me think about, what did I shed? I would love to give you the opportunity to also think about this and answer for yourself. What did you shed? And in this new year of the horse, what are you moving towards? So if you've been listening to my podcast for any amount of time, last year you probably noticed there's been a change on this podcast. And it kind of happened organically. And looking back on it, it's like, oh, wow, I was responding to my audience. And what happened was this podcast has mostly been focused on coaches, consultants, service providers. And then I started getting sales calls from people that were in corporate who understood that they had to speak a lot. They're giving presentations, they're speaking at meetings, they're running meetings. And the higher up you go in an organization, the more you actually have to speak. And me being able to help these corporate people present better is really such a beautiful blend of my background. Now, my background comes from healthcare and also leadership development. Before I came into the online space, that's what I did. I spoke on stages, I wrote books on leadership, and I coached executives in a number of different industries around the globe on their leadership style. And so I started to have episodes that really were geared for corporate employees But at the same time, talking to those coaches and consultants and letting them know, here's what you can take away from this. Just because I say if you're speaking in a meeting, if you're asking a question during a board meeting, a department meeting, not to think this doesn't mean you can't use this information. So I would say my umbrella of what I'm speaking about just got a little bit bigger. And I'm not trying to help everybody. I'm trying to help the right people, the people who are attracted to what I'm talking about, the people who find my podcast because they are struggling with their public speaking and they go into the search on Spotify or Apple or whatever your favorite podcast listening app is, and they're typing in public speaking. And the reason why I know this is because some of the people that I've had calls with, they've told me, here's how I found you. So I would say this year, you're going to see a lot more of that, a lot more of me talking about speaking, communication, and leading with your voice in a different way that encompasses so much more of my background and not just this slice of public speaking that I've mostly been speaking on. And I think the other thing you're going to notice is there are other topics that I do want to be talking about because there's so much more to Laurie-Ann than just public speaking and leadership development and communication skills. I have been studying personal development since I was about 22 years old. The first time I even learned about this personal development industry. And it all happened because I said something to a patient. I was working in a hospital, I was working in cardiology, I did echocardiograms, and I also did vascular ultrasound. And whatever I said to this patient, and I wish I could go back and know who this patient is so I could thank them. But the gentleman said, you probably would like the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. And I still have this copy of this, the original copy. And that was my gateway into the personal development world. And since then, I mean, I literally have hundreds of books, so many books that I have read, that I have donated. And I'm just like looking over at my bookcase right now, and it's chock full of books because I love to learn. And so I'm going to be talking a lot more about different aspects of personal development, my own experience, and sharing that with you here on the podcast. And the reason why I want to tell these kind of stories is so that you can see this in your own life and so that you can make a difference, because that's probably the reason why you're listening to this podcast is how can I make a better world, a bigger difference, have more impact, share with my children so that you leave a lasting legacy. So I want to share with you some of the questions. I'm not going to share all 30 of the questions that AI gave me to reflect on, and I've journaled on some of them. And a couple of these questions that I'm going to share with you, I have already journaled on, and there's a couple of questions that I haven't answered yet. So you're going to hear my raw answers. So the first question, and I invite you to also consider these questions for your situation, for your life, whether your birthday is this month or not, but it is the lunar year. We're changing from the snake to the horse. First question, if you could have a conversation with your 30-year-old self, what would you tell that version of you? Now, I did already journal on this one, and I kind of told myself about some of the relationships, some of the hardships that were going to come up, a little bit about my career path, and to give myself hope, to give myself a reason to believe in the bigger story, and to also understand, knowing everything that I know now, and looking back to 30-year-old Laurie-Ann, to be able to tell her that your path is not linear. It is you're going up a mountain and there are switchbacks. And for me to share with her, it's okay because you are going to be teaching people through your experiences. And yes, there were some bumpy, difficult relationships that are along the way, but I had to go through them. So those moments, I can't erase them, and I wouldn't erase them because of some of the things that I learned. However, I would tell Laurie-Ann, here's what I want you to know about yourself, and here's what I want you to believe about yourself so that maybe the bump isn't as bumpy. Next question. What relationship with a person, self, or place would you like to deepen? And my answer was myself, definitely myself. I love learning about myself. I love personality tests. I love understanding myself better because I feel like as I learn about myself better, I can understand other people better as well. And if I had to answer that question with a place, my answer would have been nature. I just adore nature and I love being in nature. And I think this earth is a beautiful place and no two people see it the same. And it can be a snowy day or a rainy day. And some people think, oh, God, look at this weather. It's horrible. But it's still, to me, it's so beautiful. Third question. What would your 80-year-old advice be to you right now? So this question I have not answered, but I can only imagine if I close my eyes, 80-year-old Laurie-Ann is telling me today, or even like on the eve of my birthday, go for it. The race is not over. You are not done. You are still going to be discovering new things about yourself, about life, about your friends, about family. You love to learn. You are not done. I think that's the biggest piece of advice that my 80-year-old self would give me. I am not done. And I still have so much to give, learn, and experience. And the last question that I will share here right now, and this is another question that I haven't answered. What permission do you need to give yourself entering into this new year? And I think the permission that I would give myself, and this almost relates back to the last question about what 80-year-old Laurie-Ann would say to today's Laurie-Ann, and that is give everything. Give all of yourself. I've been in the speaking world for so long where you had to be polished. Now this was before like IG stories and God, I've even been speaking longer than I think YouTube's been around. I remember when YouTube kind of hit like, and I say air quotes, the speaking market. And it was a great way for us to, wow, we don't have to put our speaking demos like on DVDs, but we could put things out on YouTube. So for myself, there was this fear of it had to be perfect. It had to be polished. I had to come across as in a certain way in order to get hired. So I would say today, in this world of AI and AI generated videos and images, people want to see the real version of you. So it's okay if you don't have your hair and makeup done. It's okay if you're in the car, if you're getting out of the car, you're walking down the hallway, like talking to people on video, on IG stories, on LinkedIn Live, whatever makes you feel comfortable just to be able to get out there and share. So if I had to give myself permission, it is going to be to share all of myself. So I hope that you'll enjoy that and that you'll also hold me to it because you, my audience who are listening to this, you get to call me out if you feel like, hey, Laurie-Ann, you've been a little, there's that perfectionism streak that's showing back up, or we haven't heard about the latest book that you're reading, feel free. But my wish for you this year is that maybe you'll reflect on some of those questions. And maybe when your birthday month is arriving, that maybe you'll tap into AI and ask it to generate 30 questions for you to reflect on, to journal on, one for each day, and just see what you learn about yourself. See what you discover that you want to shed, that you want to gallop into. And then I also want to share with you, like this whole podcast, Be in Demand, it is about fully showing up, fully being yourself, because there are no redos. We can't hit rewind or say, I want to do that Monday all over again. No. So, what do you want to say to people? What do you want to do? What do you want to experience this year? Who do you want to help? Who do you want to impact? Think about those things and jot them down. Write them down somewhere about what is it that you're moving into? Because that is your future self. I am mentoring a woman from Halt International Business School, and she asked me for a book to read. And I told her, I said, here's the book that I want you to read, and you can't listen to it on audio. You actually have to physically read it. Be your future self today. And part of the coaching that I am giving her, I also suggested to her that she create a vision board. And I tried to explain to her a little bit, like briefly, about what she wants to put on there, like to start thinking about who she is stepping into as she graduates college and she moves into the workforce. And if you're ready to become that leader that people reference when decisions are being made, I want to invite you to book a call with me. Let's build your strategic visibility plan because the next level of your career isn't about working harder. It's about being heard differently. And this is all about you being in demand because I want you to leave your mark and I want you to leave your legacy and I want people to remember you were here. So until next week, I want you to be in demand.